The amphitheater carved into Luna Station's regolith hummed with tension. Empress Valara of the Kethran Confederation stood at its center, her chitinous exoskeleton gleaming under the artificial sunlight that bathed the diplomatic quarter. Her forearms spread wide in a gesture that translated across a dozen species as exasperation. "Is there no one brave enough to give me strong grandchildren?" Her translator rendered the pheromone-laced declaration into standard. The assembled dignitaries shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Liana pressed her fingers against her temples, feeling the neural implant's familiar pressure as it processed the political catastrophe unfolding before her. As Earth's chief xenobiological liaison, she'd spent 3 years arranging this summit. The Kethran's crystalline ships controlled 7 systems along the Orion Spur. Their alliance was critical, and now the Empress was demanding a genetic heir. The Recon ambassador, a methane breather whose environment suit hissed softly, spoke through his vocoder. "Your Majesty, the biological incompatibilities alone—" "I am aware," Valara interrupted, her mandibles clicking irritably. "My scientists have reviewed the genome databases of every species present. The Recon metabolize different biochemistry. The Tarsian reproductive cycle spans decades. The Peluvian collective consciousness makes individual pairing impossible." Her multifaceted eyes swept the chamber. "But there must be someone. My daughter's death has left the succession uncertain. Without an heir of proven hybrid vigor, the Confederation will fracture into civil war." Liana's implant fed her the political calculus in real-time probability matrices. If the Kethran collapsed into conflict, the Treaty of Ganymede would fail. Human colonies in disputed space would become battlegrounds. Millions would die. She looked down at the human delegation below. Admiral Chen sat stone-faced. The corporate representatives avoided eye contact. No one wanted to volunteer their genetic material for an experiment that could fail catastrophically or succeed in ways that horrified evolutionary ethicists back home. Then James stood up. Liana's breath caught. James Rivera, the expedition's structural engineer. She'd reviewed his file, enlisted military background, degrees in materials science and xenobiology, commendations for bridge building between human and alien work crews. But this? "Your Majesty," James called out, his voice steady. "I'll volunteer." The amphitheater erupted. Valara's translator struggled to separate the overlapping protests, negotiations, and shocked exclamations. Liana activated her priority channel. "James, sit down," she hissed through the neural link. "You don't understand what you're agreeing to." His response came through calm and clear. "I understand exactly what I'm doing, Commander. Run the compatibility analysis." Liana's implant was already processing. She pulled up James's genetic profile, cross-referencing it with the Kethran database that Valara's scientists had transmitted. The numbers materialized in her visual cortex. Impossible. The Kethran reproductive system relied on parasitic larvae that required specific protein markers to prevent rejection. Human biology shouldn't, but James's immune system showed an unusual tolerance threshold. His genetic modifications for radiation resistance, standard for deep space workers, had altered his histocompatibility complex in unexpected ways. Probability of successful gestation, 67%, her implant reported. Probability of viable hybrid offspring, 43%. Probability of offspring possessing enhanced capabilities, 31%. Better odds than anyone had a right to expect. Valara descended from her platform, moving with the peculiar grace of Kethran nobility. She stopped before James, who stood perhaps half her height. Her biochemical scanners, organic organs that most species couldn't perceive, analyzed him thoroughly. "You comprehend the risks, human?" "Yes, Your Majesty." "The process will require months of your life. Genetic therapy. Hormonal treatments. The implantation itself carries a mortality risk." I understand. Why? Valara's translator added emotional undertones, genuine curiosity, perhaps respect. James glanced up at Lyanna, then back to the Empress. Because someone has to build bridges. That's what I do. And if this bridge prevents a war, he shrugged, then it's worth building. 3 months later, Lyanna stood in the medical bay of the Kethrin flagship, watching through radiation-shielded glass as the geneticists worked. James lay in the suspension field, his body unconscious but vital signs strong. The hybrid embryo, developing in the specialized chamber they'd constructed, showed remarkable stability. Neural integration proceeding nominally, the Kethrin medical director reported. The human genetic contribution is providing unexpected cognitive enhancements. The chitinous structure is developing with greater flexibility than pure Kethrin baseline. Lyanna studied the scans. The growing organism showed characteristics of both species, bilateral symmetry with chitinous reinforcement, a brain structure combining human prefrontal development with Kethrin parallel processing capacity. It was simultaneously alien and familiar. "Will it work?" she asked quietly. The director's translator hummed. "Define work, Commander. Will the offspring survive? Probably. Will it satisfy the Confederation's succession requirements? The genetic analysis suggests yes. Will it be accepted as legitimate?" The director's mandibles clicked in what Lyanna had learned to recognize as their equivalent of a thoughtful pause. "That depends on politics, not biology." 6 months after conception, the heir emerged. The ceremony in the Imperial Palace on Kethris Prime drew representatives from 47 systems. Lyanna stood beside James, who'd recovered from the ordeal thinner but alive. The hybrid, whom Valara named Keris, possessed 4 arms like the Kethrin, but with human-like hands capable of delicate manipulation. The exoskeleton was present, but less pronounced, allowing for greater flexibility. Most remarkably, the cognitive scans showed a brain capable of both human abstract reasoning and Kethrin quantum parallel processing. Valara held her grandchild before the assembled court. "Behold the future of the Confederation, proof that strength comes not from purity, but from the courage to build something new." James leaned toward Lyanna. "Did we just change the galaxy?" She smiled. "You changed it. I just ran the numbers. Think it'll last?" Lyanna watched Keris's multifaceted eyes track the light patterns on the palace ceiling with evident curiosity, a very human expression. "I think we just proved that the bravest thing anyone can do is take the first step into unknown territory." "That's what bridge builders do," James said quietly. And in the heart of the Kethrin Confederation, a new era began.